Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, you might be wondering, hold on a minute, am I getting a little bit of deja vu? Because didn't you already cover this topic before, not even that long ago? Well, the answer is yes, you would actually be correct, you're not going crazy. However, the video that I posted ended up getting age restricted and demonetized, and it was like one of the first videos that I covered anyway, so was it that great? No. So I thought I would have another go at this topic, because this topic has always interested me, but I'm going to try and keep it a little bit more PG, you know. I'm not gonna say those naughty words on here that are gonna get me banned. And as you know, I prefer to cover these like unserious kind of videos, because serious videos can be really depressing and obviously they take a little bit of a toll. So I think every now and then it's okay to, like, you know, perk it back up a little bit. So without further ado, I'll quit yapping and we'll just get straight into today's video topic. As you all know, the internet can be a wonderful place. It can help people connect from different points of the globe, from halfway across the world. It's great. It's brilliant, you know. Why do we have it? I don't know, but it's here and it's here to stay. You can meet people, you can play games, you can post your silly little videos and your silly little status updates that your cat has just ate 4 bites of a banana. You can tell the world absolutely anything and everything at any time, whenever you feel like it. And because of that, the internet also becomes a little bit of a cesspit every now... Well, I feel like the internet is a cesspit the majority of the time, more often than it's not, but can we look away? No, we can't, because it's like a car crash. It's horrible and you know you shouldn't be looking at it, but you're gonna look anyway. Morbid curiosity, right? It's full of degenerates and truly disgusting people, murderers, CP people, CA people, you know, everything to your heart's desire, or perhaps not your heart's, hopefully not your heart's desire. But there's like any type of corn, there's any type of, you know, fan art, there's any type of anything you can get your grubby little hands of through the internet, you can access it. And stuff on the internet also spreads like wildfire. Like, you remember being in school and your mother and your teachers and your dad and all the adults in your life being like, everything you put on the internet, it stays there. You can't digital footprint, you know, you can't delete things on the internet. Once it's there forever. And that is true. That still stays, you know. That's how internet legends and the internet legacy carries on to this day. There are so many memorable people on the internet that have had their whole lives blasted on the internet, like Chris Chan, Daniel Larson, World of T-shirts, which are still relatively prevalent today. But then, because of this, things get added to these stories by the internet that isn't true. Like, it's to the point where you don't even know what's true and what's not anymore. Like, did that really happen, or did that come from 4chan or Reddit? Like, is that just someone trying to pull my leg, or did that happen? Was that real? And that literally happens all of the time, because 90% of the posts on Reddit are probably bullshit and are probably fake and are made up by some person that's just after a little bit of virality in their life, you know. But we all crave it. Everyone craves that moment of like, look at me, like, I'm doing numbers, like, I do. That's why I'm here right now, and I don't think that's a bad thing to admit, because I also love my craft. I love spending time researching and putting effort into these videos, and whatever happens after that is just a bonus. But like I said, most things on the internet, such as trends and other things, are just lies. And this was pretty much the case with this case that we're going to talk about today, and that is the case of the Momo challenge. I bet I just pulled that one out of your memory, didn't I? Do you guys remember this one? Because I remember this one. It was just after I left school when this was like going insane, and I'm kind of glad that I left school after reading about this, because apparently this was like huge. Schools were having like assemblies on it and stuff like that. But what was Momo? And like, what happened? What was the challenge? Where did it come from? Was it real? Was it a demon? Were people dying? Well, in this video, I thought we could have a look and go through some information that I found on Momo. And I also feel it's important to mention that the outcome of this one was pretty wild. The Momo challenge was pretty much a modern day urban legend. Like, you know, Bloody Mary, Candyman. Well, Momo was exactly that, but over the internet. Like, your parents would have been growing up shit scared of, like, saying Bloody Mary 3 times in the mirror. Even I was, and I'm 22, but that was my horror thing when I was a kid, saying that in the mirror, or like the Boogeyman, the Candyman. Well, Momo was that, but because of the internet. So it's like Gen Alpha, Gen Z, later Gen Z trauma. Which is so funny how things have changed. But this was labelled as a game, if you catch my drift. I don't want to say the word because this video will get, but you know what I'm trying to say. Similar to what the Blue Whale Challenge was back in the day, which is kind of similar to the Momo Challenge. So what on earth is Momo? Well, Momo is this really creepy picture here. You know, here she is in all of her glory. It was actually a sculpture, and this sculpture has been responsible for so many children's nightmares and sleepless nights. And this supposed, like, urban legend or challenge, as it was, would happen over WhatsApp and like other social medias, and it really took off around 2019. But I remember seeing this Momo figure way back when. I think it must have been like 2018, 2017. I remember seeing this. I think it was 18. I don't think 17 is like too early, but 2018, I remember seeing it in like YouTube thumbnails and thinking, oh, that's creepy, and then thinking nothing of it. And then when the trend like kicked off, I was like, hold on, I've seen this before. Am I going insane? But no, the photo of the sculpture has been around before the Momo Challenge was a thing. But it started to go like super viral mid-2019. And it's believed that this challenge originated in Spanish-speaking countries, and it didn't actually take off until fellow YouTuber Rainbow actually did a video about the challenge and was like, you know, trying to raise awareness about it. But obviously little did she know that it would kind of grab more attention to it and make it go viral, which people were so, you know, against. They didn't want that. They didn't want it to go viral because, you know, when you give negative things more attention, people are going to look into it, and that's exactly what happened. And children would be encouraged to message a number that was, you know, belonging to this Momo character, and this creature would message them back, supposedly telling them to do things to themselves, severe and not so severe, and also to other people as well. They would also be asked to complete some bizarre and increasingly dangerous tasks, similar to the Blue Whale, how they would start off really, like, mundane, like watch a horror movie, and then it would go all the way up to, like, you know, like, it... And then when children, you know, would not comply with these tasks, they would, like, you know, threaten to leak their information and threaten harm on these children for not doing these horrific things to them and themselves and others. So the people on the other, pretending to be Momo, would be like, well, here's your information. I'm gonna dox you. Not only that, when children refused to partake in demands from the Momo character, they would be, like, bombarded with threats and pictures of gore. Which is exactly what a developing child's brain needs to see. And then by July of 2019, the Momo thing had gone global. This wasn't just a local American thing, no, this was global. This was happening in all over the world. And it was actually because of a Facebook post which kind of helped the virality of it from a concerned mother that was kind of just being like, hey, other mummies of Facebook, my child has come across this, you know, I don't know what to do, just keep making you aware of it and whatever. And because that post got shared, that then led to more people finding out about it, which then led to more kids messaging this Momo character. So it was kind of like, she had good intentions, this Facebook post had good intentions, but it didn't go that way. It never goes that way. It's the internet. And this, like, Momo character was popping up absolutely all over the place, and parents were absolutely freaking out, worrying about this creature messaging their kids. And you know what parents like? Like, some parents are quite clued up and they understand how the internet works, especially, like, people my age that are parents, which is such a scary thought, but there are people my age that are parents that are, you know, pretty clued up on the internet, that can sit down and have, like, open conversations with their children and be like, hey, you know, this isn't real, you don't have to message it, if they do message you, come to me, but, you know, don't believe it. But the older Gen Z, like, no, the older Gen X parents were like, oh my god, like, I need to take my child to a church, they need to see a priest, like, holy fucking shit, I need to ban the internet from the house, like, just going too far. You know, blowing it completely out of proportion, which is another reason why this case is so, like, insane to me. WhatsApp was also encouraging its users to just actively block the numbers if they came across them, and they were also working on, like, taking them down as they were being reported. But at this point, people were being disgusting. Like, weirdos were taking, like, the Momo clip and, like, editing it into, like, child-friendly videos on, like, YouTube Kids, like, just to jump scare, like, young kids, which to me is so weird. Like, fair enough jump scaring, like, older kids, like, you know, 15, 14, 13, you know, when they're of age and, you know, you get that first moment of childhood trauma. Mine was the Scary Maze game when I was, like, 10 years old. But 3 and 4 year olds, like, really. That's just bottom of the barrel, like, sicko. And they were, like, putting Momo in, like, Peppa Pig videos, Minecraft videos, and just, like, it's just gross, in my opinion. Like, that's so gross. But news outlets were eating this story up left, right, and centre. Like, they were absolutely getting clicks from this because they were fear-mongering. They were feeding off these parents that read the news. So, like, what? 40, 50, 30, older 30-year-old parents that are, like, you know, still watch BBC News and, like, read the Daily Mail. These outlets were like, oh my god, this Momo character is going to kill your kid, like, your child's going to die, like, and people were falling for it. This was an internet epidemic that was sweeping the globe. There was even reports of 2 teenagers that had died doing this challenge. Or did they? Was this story as scary as the internet was making out? Was it as scary as the parents were making out? Was it as scary as the news were making out? Absolutely not. It wasn't. It wasn't. The report of 2 teenagers passing away because of this had absolutely no evidence. There was no evidence that suggested that these 2 teenagers died as a result of this challenge. Most of the Momo challenges were pranks, people jumping on the trend trying to scare kids with anyone with half a brain cell. For example, appearing in videos and people making, like, very obviously fake Instagram and fake Facebook accounts and, like, messaging randomers. Most people would just be like, block. You know what I mean? Or they'd, like, have a little bit of fun with them and then have their fun and then block them. Like, people knew it was fake. There was no way that it was real. You know, people with more than one brain cell could have worked that out. Or people that weren't children. I'm not blaming children that fell for this because they're children. And then literally as quick as this Momo thing started, it ended by September of 2018 as most phone numbers supposedly associated with Momo were out of service. And news coverage on this phenomenon had decreased and it was, like, you know, coming to an end. People had got bored of it. Schools that had done, like, whole assemblies on it probably felt really stupid because the kids in the assembly halls probably knew that it was just, like, boomers falling for shit on the internet, as everything pretty much is. And that's because the Momo challenge just wasn't real. It didn't exist. It wasn't real. There was no Momo telling your children to die. It was mostly just trolls, which I feel like everybody kind of already knew that anyway. And the parent who actually alerted the press about the Momo challenge had said that her child actually hadn't received messages from Momo themselves. She just overheard it in a conversation in the school playground and she was like, that's going on Facebook, that's gonna do fucking numbers. And that was it. And that was it. That was what started it. Some woman was just like, yeah, this has got to go to the press. And it was just nothing. But it was so bad that before it kind of, you know, came out that it wasn't real, countries were issuing governments were issuing warnings about Momo. Like, it was a global panic. People were, like, freaking out, like, this was war, and the government was like, no internet character is going to disturb my people, which is crazy because, I mean, there were actually many reports of children, you know, themselves, but none of these were, like, reliable sources and none of them had evidence. These were either completely unconfirmed or entirely disproven or simply didn't have any proof that the children that had, you know, had taken part in the challenge in the first place. Unlike the blue whale challenge, which actually did have confirmed deaths linked to it, but, like, the blue whale thing was more of a thing in Russia. The whole phenomenon was described as moral panic fueled by clueless parents that didn't understand how the internet worked, and I absolutely could not agree more. And not only that, none other than Kim Kardashian got involved in this and she elevated the story. You know, she posted on her Instagram story, so guys, my beautiful little children were on the internet and they came across this Momo figure, so, like, you know, raise awareness about it. I have no idea what that was, but at the time she had, like, 129 million followers, so there you go. Which is more than the population of the UK, by the way. And she was pressuring YouTube to take down these, like, harmful videos, which is fair enough, like, I understand that, because she's, like, a mum as well, like, she's a yummy mummy, but, like, I get it. You want to look after your kid. You don't want your kid to be jump scared when, sticking the tablet in front of him after a long day of doing fuck all. But despite this did actually have a huge impact on children. Because children are stupid and naive. And that's not me insulting children, it's because they don't have the life experience that, we have as adults. A 4-year-old is not going to understand that clicking on a Peppa Pig video and it turns into Momo, they're going to think, oh my god, I'm going to die. Like, it sounds dramatic, but as a 4-year-old, you're going to shit yourself. You're going to absolutely, poo your pants. But I'd like to think that most children that were, trying to engage in it were smart enough to just hit the block button after they were done, trolling them and fucking around. Or perhaps the younger ones would tell and talk to a trusted adult about this situation. Because looking at children maybe around the age of 11 or 12 that have WhatsApp just to message their parents, when they go and play out at the park, which do kids still do that nowadays? Oh god, that made me sound like an old back in my day, we didn't have no phones and no WhatsApp. But anyway, I'd like to think that those children felt comfortable enough to tell someone about a creepy number messaging them, even if it was Momo or not, just a stranger. I feel like children are aware of stranger danger. I feel like that's drilled into them from a young age. But of course, there was the small children that didn't partake in the Momo trend that then became victims of the Momo trend because of the YouTube Kids videos and the Momo jump scares that were popping up left, right and centre, as well as their favourite YouTubers also uploading reactions to the content. Calling Momo at 3 a.m. challenge gone wrong, gone set. Despite the fact that the challenge, wasn't real, it was fake, it was made up, because of the mass reporting on it, that fueled the flames. It fanned the flames, it made it out worse than it was. Not only did it make it out worse than it was, it also encouraged people to look it up and look into it, which then encourages people to use it in their media, such as the jump scare videos and everything else. Trying to get rid of something, but then posting it on social media and getting everyone to share it kind of has the opposite effect. I mean, it doesn't take long to work that one out. It's different if it's a person, say a child P is walking the streets or whatever and you post that on Facebook. That's fair enough because you have a chance to get this person well known, people in the area know about him. That's fair enough, I understand that, but when it comes to the internet, it's different. Things over the internet don't work the same way they work in real life. What I'm trying to say is, if we'd have just ignored the Momo phenomenon, then none of this would have happened. It would have literally been another forgotten urban legend that was swept under the rug, forgotten about, everyone's going on with the day. A Samaritan spokesperson was simply sceptical, saying these stories are being highly publicised and starting a panic, which means vulnerable people get to know about it, and that's what creates the risk. Because that is exactly what happens, that is true. If that Facebook post or that Twitter post or whatever it was wasn't posted, then the Momo frenzy, wouldn't have been anywhere near as big as it was. And whose fault was that? It was the adults' fault. It was the adults' fault that were doing far too much to try and protect the children, but then they just did the complete opposite of that, which is what happens nine times out of 10. When adults try and step in and be like, we must save the children, they always do more fucking damage. Always. But what about the actual, picture origin? Well, that was a sculpture, as I mentioned before. Internet users were able to identify Link Factory, which was a Japanese special effects company. And this company was responsible for the Momo sculpture. As you can see, the eyes are protruding outwards and it's terrifying. It is pretty terrifying. And the sculpture was actually created back in 2016, so 3 years before the Momo challenge actually kicked off. This sculpture was not made for the Momo challenge. It wasn't an art project, it wasn't the intention, it was literally just a sculpture that unfortunately got dragged into this phenomenon. It's the same with the film The Exorcist and the scary rocking chair video and the scary maze game. The face at the end of those videos, which I didn't know this until a couple of years ago, but the face at the end of the videos was not made for those videos. It's Reagan from The Exorcist films, which was filmed back in the 70s. So that's another way of people using scary media in their own projects. Japanese artist Keisuke Eiso, I'm so sorry if I've completely butchered that, actually was the guy that made it, and this poor guy's sculpture that was turned into this mass figure of like fear and panic. Well, the sculpture was actually thrown away in 2018 after its materials, which was made of like natural rubber and oils, had decomposed. So by the time that the Momo trend had already kicked off in like 2019, the sculpture no longer existed. It was gone, and it had been gone for like a year. It's literally just an example of someone's art being stolen and used for somebody else's gain. Well done, internet, once again. But yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting thing. And another really interesting thing is this is the only thing that remains of the sculpture. An eyeball. Yeah! But what's the aftermath now? Well, the aftermath is YouTube demonetizes any content talking about this topic, so this video is probably going to get demonetized again, but I'm going to try my best. I'm hoping not, because I'm not encouraging anyone to do this trend. I am just telling you what happened and what it was and why it was so crazy. The phenomenon itself was officially declared as a hoax, and the sculpture doesn't even exist anymore, and it didn't exist by the time that the challenge had kicked off anyway. So before you share that, you know, yummy mummy Facebook post about something on the internet that's upset her or that she doesn't understand, think twice, because we could have another Momo epidemic on our hands. To be honest, it's just embarrassing for the older generation that are involved, because, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I like to look up to the older generation and think, you know, they're so wise, they're so clever, they've been on the world longer than I have, but they don't understand how the internet works. And that's really funny to me. I can't help but giggle about it. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video if you see it. Which I don't know if that's going to be the case, but yeah. If you would like to follow me on any of the social medias, the links will be down below in my description, which includes my TikTok, which I post on rather frequently, as well as other social medias like my Instagram. Go and drop me a follow. If you have any case requests, whether it be something silly, lost media, internet case, murder mystery, true crime case, anything, leave them down below in the comments and I will have a look and see if it's something that interests me and that I want to cover. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one, but until then, stay safe.